I know what it feels like to be sick. I know what it feels like to hurt. I know what it feels like to be stuck. I know what it feels like to be tired all the time, where when you wake up in the morning, you're just as tired as when you went to bed. I know what it feels like to have your back against the wall and the only options you have is surgery and drugs. And I know what it feels like to have victory over it.
We first started having these episodes with his heart, like playing volleyball, and he goes down.
No one wants to admit there's a problem, so I was going to keep it to myself. I am fatigued, I'm tired, I'm sick all the time, and finally it gotten to the point where when she really sees it, that's when we made the decision to go to the cardiologist. And so ended up cardiologist's office, lots of expensive tests, and for him to come in the room, you know, look at you and say, well, you know, your heart's dying in your chest. And then we started talking about options, and I'm still like, it's like Charlie Brown's mom thing. I can't hardly hear what he's saying, because I'm like, these are not my options. Here I've been physical my whole life, and you're going to tell me I'm not going to be able to run anymore, I'm not going to be able to work out like this. You know, I couldn't see a life or a life I wanted in that. I mean, I looked at her the whole time he was talking, like, this is not right, this is not happening, right? And I remember leaving, and we were in complete silence. And I wasn't going to do the surgery. I'm not doing the surgery. I did the research. I'm not taking medications the rest of my life. I'm not going to do it.
Then that was really kind of what led us to try, if there's something else out there.
And something in her, because of the 6 years she had as a CA, was like, just go back to the principal. That's one of the reasons she reached out and found Maximize Living. It was through the seminar that we found the chiropractor that really helped me. I mean, that was the day my life changed. Health starts at function, but that's what health is. You know, if you're just like I was, you don't think about that. You think that health is, you know, how you look, how you feel, if you eat good. I did all those things, and I've always been healthy and extremely active, so I was assuming what? I was healthy, and every doctor that I was around would consider me extremely healthy. Those principles is what really changed me. It wasn't just one thing, it was all of them. I never took the meds, I've never had a surgery, completely changed my life. And as a result of that experience, absolutely, I feel like I'm an unstoppable force to make sure that every single human being lives like this. My kids aren't sick. My kids don't take medication. They've never been sick kids. And it's not a coincidence. And I know there may be kids out there that seem healthy. Maybe they don't have symptoms. You go, well, they're healthy too. If there's interference that I can find, I'll guarantee you they're not. And you don't know they're unhealthy until you've found the interference, or until it's gotten bad enough that a doctor diagnoses them. I would never ask you as a patient to believe one thing I said. I would never tell you one thing that I wasn't already doing myself. And if I didn't experience it, I wouldn't be so passionate. Where is the interference in these 5 essential things? Because until I remove that, you'll still be developing disease, and you'll get a wake-up call like I got. And I'm going to keep that from happening to every single human being I possibly can.
The question you want to start with is, am I toxic? And really, there's not a question anymore. Every single one of us are toxic. So I want to start with this video. If you would, if you want to kill the lights, Zach.
Moms go to great lengths to stay healthy and avoid anything that could possibly affect their unborn child. And that's why the results of a new study by the Environmental Working Group are really disturbing tonight.
They tested 10 newborns, and they discovered that every single child, every single one, was born with some 200 dangerous toxins in their blood. Now, our own medical reporter, Kathy Fowler, knows about this study quite well firsthand, because you actually played a role in it.
Yeah, I was actually one of the 3 adults who also gave blood for the study. According to an independent lab hired by the Environmental Working Group, my blood contains 175 chemicals linked to cancer, 210 chemicals linked to heart disease, and 196 chemicals linked to birth defects. But that's not all. Toxic PCBs that were banned more than 30 years ago are also in my bloodstream. The most disturbing results, though, of this study revealed all 10 infants tested had almost as many chemicals in their blood as the adults. Before they take their first breath, scientists say newborns are being exposed to dangerous chemicals. The proof, according to the Environmental Working Group scientists, is in the umbilical cord blood.
We found in these babies' blood an average of 204 industrial chemicals, pollutants, and pesticides, and that's at the moment of birth.
Tests done on 10 newborn babies in hospitals across the U.S. found contaminants like mercury, pesticides, even fire-retardant chemicals used in TVs, mattresses, and computers. The newborn blood also contained the chemicals used to make Teflon cookware non-stick, fast food wrappers leak-proof, and children's clothing stain-resistant. Environmentalists believe these chemicals play a role in the increase of many health problems like autism, obesity, asthma, leukemia, brain cancer, even birth defects and infertility. Most scientists agree because chemicals are a part of our environment, all adults will have some in their body. But some experts say the levels are too low to be of concern.
Just because people have a measurable level of a chemical in their blood or urine doesn't mean that the dose will cause disease.
I can't imagine anyone who wouldn't be worried.
Lisa Toes Doherty became a vegetarian when she found out she was pregnant. She even grows some of her own food, all to reduce chemical exposure for her kids.
So there's no proving harm. You don't know what your kids are being exposed to.
Now, you can do some things to protect yourself. Reduce exposure to chemicals by eating less packaged food. Don't treat furniture and carpet to make them stain resistant. And avoid clothing made with fabric that repels stains. Now, the environmental groups say many of the changes, though, must come from the top and the government agencies that control car emissions, industrial power plants, and approve on average 7 new chemicals for consumer use every single day.
Wow.
So, did the doctors say that you need to take this really seriously, all these chemicals in your body, or is this sort of something that you can live with?
Well, it depends on your point of view, but basically we all have these amount of chemicals. What I do is hopefully, you can change mattresses and change your cookware, and there are some things that you can do to reduce your exposure. And hope, cross your fingers.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Kathy.
All right, so why do we talk about it? The reason that we talk about it, lights, there you are. The reason that we talk about it is because you guys will come in oftentimes as patients and we still have issues, symptoms, pains, aches, an issue that you were taking a medication for, something, and we're doing everything right and you're still having it, except for we haven't addressed what? Toxins, all the stuff that we're soaking ourselves in or we're using as a cleaner, or we're doing these things. This lady, did you see how many chemicals she had in her blood? This is a relatively healthy-looking lady who's probably doing some really great things, and she's got hundreds and hundreds of chemicals in her blood. And did you hear what else she said? 2 other things. She said every newborn that we checked, 100% had almost the same amount of chemicals as every adult that we checked, and at birth. Why? Because where did they get it? Thank you. Where did they get the toxicity from? The parents, the parent directly to the fetus. When they were born, they checked the blood instantly at birth, and it had almost as much as any adult. You see how it adds up? You see that? The other thing she said at the end, she goes, and because they end up doing, they approved 7 new chemicals every single day for use. 7 a day. Can you imagine this? So in a week, we've got that many more chemicals. Are you serious? And it's not just for cleaners. It's stuff that they approved that actually is, quote, not been proved unsafe to go into your food, or to go into your deodorant, or to go, see where we're going with this, right? So are you toxic? Yes, and if you just look at the state of the union when it comes to toxicity, it's 100% of us have DDT and PCB and BPA and all these other things in us. And, look at this. And actually, children, the #1 cause of death in kids right now is cancer. How? Why? It's rose so much it couldn't be genetics. It's not a genetic thing. There is something environmentally going on. We know that for a fact. And guess what it is? It has to do with toxicity. Everybody with me? So it's not just that. I love that they were like, you could see that the reporters were like, wow, that's really crazy. So you've got all this stuff in you. What are you going to do? Are you going to die? And she goes, well, it depends on your perspective. I don't know about your perspective, but my perspective is I want to get some clean living so I'm not at risk for a lot of other things. Now, we're not going to live in fear, but we are going to live with some real good, healthy perspective. Got it? Got it? So we don't create fear. However, we got to start with the most toxic area of your body. I could do this whole talk today just on Max Mind. I'm not going to take too long because it's not about Max Mind. It's about toxicity. But your mind is toxic. Can I just tell you that for sure? The way, it's not just what you think about. It's the way that you think. Okay? But if you just look at the stats, well, watch this. The average kiddo has more anxiety now than a psychiatric inpatient back in the 60s. Is that nuts? That's a real stat, by the way. Also, I could take just about every single person in here and take your schedule and give it to a family or a family member or a mom or a dad or whatever back in the 50s, and they would go into a mental breakdown. That's how seriously toxic the schedules. And listen, I don't care if you've got a good schedule. Every single person here, because it's the norm, right? It's just that we have a disease of rush. Rush. I mean, raise your hand if you got behind the shortest line of cars at the red light on the way here. Anybody? Like nobody wants to raise their hand. I'm not rushing. I have no problem at all. So, but you do. And listen, it's the most common thing to all of us. It's just toxic stress. And so much of it is so preventable. Very preventable. In fact, actually, we have smartphones. But in my opinion, smartphones have done the opposite. Okay? And listen, not because they don't give us access to information, they give us lots of access to information. In fact, in my opinion, technology, especially the smartphone, has created a type or a style of thinking. Because what happens is, between tweets and Facebook posts, it's just short snippets of information. You don't even open an email that's got several paragraphs to it because you just don't want to take the time then or possibly ever to read that whole thing. You want the bullet points, the tweet points, these things. And listen, but it develops day in and day out that type of style of thinking. So we don't have deep thought. Honestly, most people now, because we took 7 years of cognitive psychology, most people now have an opinion about something. But you have an opinion not because you've done the research, not because you've looked into it, because you heard about somebody else's opinion and a group of people's opinion, and you just went ahead with the opinion of a group. And I know it doesn't sound, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. I could go in, it's just what happens. It's a style of thinking. And research was done just about 4 weeks ago with Microsoft that this style of thinking, this tweet and post from Facebook stuff, is so detrimental to your brain that it actually has taken the human attention span and it's actually a second less than a goldfish. That is a real problem. Anybody else? That's a real problem, okay? But there's certain things that you can do. So I want to show you a couple things that you can do to unwind a toxic thought style or thought pattern, okay? Very simple. You want to get out your notes on the backside of your agenda, that first one. And there's just a list. Again, this is not a Max Mind conference, but these are some easy things. So fast from Facebook. It doesn't have to be the whole month that you're doing this makeover today, starting today. It doesn't have to be the whole month. But I would suggest to you it shouldn't be part of a day. You should have days in your week that you do not look at Facebook, okay? I had a team member just came back from some time off, and I said, how was it not being on Facebook while you were gone? She said, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's like, right? It's an addiction. I hate that. Toxic schedule elimination. Most powerful word in the English language is no, right? No one wants to say no, right? I might come. I might be with you guys. But you say yes to so many things that you don't have any downtime. You don't have time for reflection. You don't have time to think about things, right? So you just throw too many things in. So get rid of a lot of things in your schedule. Family meetings, okay? This is where we do it on Sundays at 4 o'clock. So don't call it 4 because I won't be answering at 4. But we have a family meeting, all the kids and she and I, and we have our calendars out of what the next week and the month looks like so that we can think deeply and be prepared for what's coming up. Who here got into your week and you were like, oh man, you forgot this, or your kids didn't know and you were upset because your kids weren't ready for yada, yada, yada? Anybody else? I'm the only one. That's our outreach. This is where you would say amen. Can I get an amen? All right, so there was amen. But family game nights. So what is this? Find a family adventure. Family game nights, family exercise, get outside. All of that says to get rid of what? Technology. And so it's basically unplugging. Date nights without your phones. When she and I go for a date, it's so funny. Nowadays, it's the craziest thing. We go on a date, we sit and we enjoy watching couples on a date, both of them looking at each other doing this. That's not a date. I don't need a date with my phone. I need a date with my wife, and vice versa. Also, prioritize downtimes and phone-free time. Listen, I want to be available for every single patient I have. But the biggest thing you want is me to be healthy so I can lead you healthy. And so we have times where we just turn those phones off and I'm unreachable. And that needs to be okay for me not to be unreachable for you, and you not to be, or for you to be unreachable to other people. Am I right? So that's what we want, okay? So there should be phone-free time. But let me say this, and again, I don't want to get too preachy. Most of you guys know that I pastored a church for 3.5 years. There's another reason, and listen, I can't talk about Max Mind without throwing it in there, because otherwise you can become up short. I know for people watching on the net, we have lots of great people from our YouTube. We have people in Australia watching, so everybody can say hi to Australia and Europe. But I know it just seems unprofessional, possibly. Like, this is not the doctorly scholar, all the rest. But the point is, I have a hope when I wake up every single day that puts me in a frame of mind that it's hard to get me off balance. And that hope is in Jesus. And it's not going to be an altar call. Don't have to get all crazy. There's not going to be an altar call. But there's a point with this. And you don't have to over-religiousize it. It's not a religious thing. It's just the fact that we had a Savior, and He paid every price for everything He could possibly do. And as a result, we get to spend the salvation forever with Him. And there's a whole lot more than just salvation. You get to live victoriously now. And it may sound undoctrinally and unscientific to talk about Jesus from stage. I can tell you, when it comes to peace, you could do anything. You could take every supplement, pharmaceutical, you could do whatever you wanted to, but if you don't have that, you will never get to this level of peace that I have. And trust me, I've tried every drug, everything that you can possibly imagine. So there's not an altar call now, but if you don't know Him and you actually haven't brought Him in afterwards, and listen, if I'm speaking to you right now and you're uncomfortable, I'm talking to you. And so you can come see me afterwards. We'll have a one-on-one possible. Let's just call it that, okay? But that's just good. Thank you. That one person. Awesome.
Okay, so we're going to move on to essential number 3. And for those of you who actually have your Maximize Living Nutrition book, what we're doing is we're kind of unpacking this book right now. If you don't recognize this book, this is what it looks like. So we're unpacking this book right now. And a little bit along the way, as we kind of get a little bit into this, I'm also going to be unpacking some principles from the Maximize Metabolics book as well, okay? So that way you know where your references are coming from. So what we're looking at is there's 2 different nutrition plans. One is called the core plan, and that's just really healthy eating for everybody. And so every family, if you're just getting started, you can start there. That's fine. And kind of get your feet wet trying to figure out how to do that. But core plan is really good healthy eating for everybody. You can also see the icon as a circle. When you look through these books, there are recipes in the back, and you can tell what's a core plan, what's an advanced plan recipe as you're starting to learn it. Now, the side here on the right-hand side, am I blocking you guys? Can you see? Is it okay? Okay. This side right here, it says the advanced plan. So the up arrow recipes are for the advanced plan. Now that actual plan is actually for people who are trying to repair your hormones. You're trying to lose a lot of weight. Like, you need a whole lot of weight to lose, right? You're trying to complete health restoration, and maybe you have a disease that you're trying to overcome, and you're believing God for your healing, and through the process you want to make sure that you're doing your part, right? So that's what advanced plan would be for. If you're taking a medication, you're like, dang, I want to prove my doctor wrong that I don't need that medication, but you're working with your doctor, but you don't really have that diet that that you can actually see the results. That's what the advanced plan is for. You follow the advanced plan, you go back and work with your doctor, and you wouldn't believe how shocked they are to see your values, your cholesterol level out, your diabetes. I had 20 cases of diabetes go away last year just by people following the things we do with the 5 essentials and following the advanced plan. So this does really work. Now, indications. Now, this is what you want to do. And I want to stop here for just a second because I want to go back to this thing. I feel like I didn't give you guys a little bit of justice on this. This is where you, right now for the top 10 action steps, you probably should have like a couple things under 1 and 2. Some of you probably took the whole list from Max Mind, right? But a couple things that you know right away that you're like, I really need to fast from Facebook, right? Or I really need to do a family meeting, okay? I want to make sure that we got that down on our agenda and our top 10 action steps. Did you guys already write stuff down? Was that good? Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next step is you want to look at this slide here, and what you're trying to determine, if you don't know what core or advanced plan is, and let's say this is the first time you're hearing it, or maybe you've heard it a lot of times and you're just like, ugh, I don't want to do it. Look at this list right here, if you have a diagnosis of some kind that's on this list, a disease that you're trying to overcome, a medication you're trying to get off of, or you're just trying to lose a whole lot of weight, this is actually the list that kind of gives you, okay, maybe I'm challenged, I have some emotional imbalances, and I don't want to take medication, but I feel like I'm kind of up and down. Advanced Plan will level you out, okay? So this is really good to look at this and pick, okay, maybe this is me. Good? All right, now the purpose of the Advanced Plan would be to, number 1, burn fat, for those of us who need to burn fat, right? That's good. Number 2, detoxify. So that's going to be one of our first steps in detoxifying, right? And then number 3 would be reduce inflammation, and 4, balance your hormones. Okay, so those are the purposes. Now here's what we want to determine, and you can kind of figure this out for yourself as we go through this, is am I a sugar burner or am I a fat burner? Do you guys know if you're a sugar or fat burner? Got some giggles up here. So if you are a sugar burner, then your body relies on sugar for energy. It has forgotten how to burn fat. And it requires regular sugar for energy, and therefore you experience uncontrollable cravings. Okay, anybody have ever had that? Right? Okay, that's a sugar burner. Okay, so the fat burner is a person who relies on fat for energy, right? They burn fat what? Isn't that awesome? I love the sound of that, burning fat when you're in your sleep, right? And then they extract more energy from less food. That's because fat is your body's preferred source of energy with double the calories. Does that make sense to you guys? So I have a candy bar and I have an avocado, right? Or I have I use the example with Rebecca when she first started working for us because she had a really hard time. Can I tell them about the cereal? Okay, she's like, you already started. So she loves cereal, so she wanted to follow the Advanced Plan, but she was just like, I can't give up my cereal, right? And so, how many people have that big old bowl of cornflakes, right? And then they go for a second, right? That big old bowl. That's a lot of food, right? But then if you look in this book here, there's a recipe, and this is what I did for Rebecca, is I found a recipe in here that's called grainless granola. Now, your portion for grainless granola is like this. Now, it's like this because you have a lot of fat in there, and so your body is using a smaller amount of food but has a whole lot more energy. So when we were able to do that for Rebecca, she was like, oh, I'm good now. I'm good. So that's her cereal now. She puts coconut milk and grainless granola, and that's her cereal in the morning, yes? Okay, good. And look how good doesn't she look good? She looks awesome. She's going to post her wedding pictures here soon, so keep an eye on Facebook. Anyway, we were all there. We had a good time. So who wants to be a fat burner? Okay, good. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to walk through your Maximize Metabolics formula for happy hormones and healthy weight loss and anti-aging and anti-inflammation. Okay, so there's 3 steps I'm going to unpack. Carbs kill, so curb the carbs. Get an oil change, and eye protein. Those are the 3 steps. I'm going to unpack them right now. So cutting the carbs, that's the first step, is this quick story on insulin. In the process of taking in sugar, the hormone insulin is required to bring it right into the cell. Who knows what insulin is also known as? Another name for insulin. Like, what do they call it? AKA the fat hormone. The fat hormone, right? That's another name for insulin. So I don't like the name of that. Insulin, the fat hormone, right? So what we want to do is we want to train our body to need less or more. Right, to need less of that, right? So it's that excess, that's what we're trying to do. Also, by needing less, it actually helps us to slip into that slow, right, that fat burning zone from the sugar burning zone. That's really where we want to go with that. So I have a little chart right here that kind of shows the more carbs. And when I say the word carbs, I don't mean vegetables, guys, right? What do I mean by carbs? Anybody? Potato chips, potatoes, rice, that's kind of the breads, right? Candy bars, right? Cornflakes. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about vegetables. You can have as many vegetables as you want to, okay, when you're on the Advanced Plan. But the more carbohydrates that we have, the more insulin we require. Now, insulin is also the what hormone? Right. So now you see kind of we're already kind of working in a negative thing right here. So that requires, then what happens is our body becomes less and less sensitive, and we need more and more sugar in the system. It's this yo-yo kind of thing going on. And so what happens is you have more hormone problems, more fat is created, more inflammation, advanced glycolation. I'm going to show you end products, pictures of that, and health problems as well that goes along with that. The great aging process is glycation. So you can see the young lady, and kind of as she ages, some of us are aging too quickly because we're taking in too many bad carbs. Does that make sense? I'm going to show you some pictures of that. You can kind of see the divots in there. This is a picture of collagen, and the sugar, what it does is it doesn't allow our skin to be elastic, to stretch well, okay? So that's why you start to get things like this guy right here. You can see the aging process kind of going on in the liver spots and things. You can also see in this person where the deep skin, you've seen people like that, where the skin, there's just real deep in there. That's because there's less elasticity, because we've had such a large consumption of carbohydrates, so the skin won't stretch. Now, I want to age gracefully, you guys, yeah? Now, this is not just happening in your skin. This is also the stuff that's happening in your spine, right? So you wake up one day and you're like, I don't know what I did. You know, my back went out, right? This kind of stuff is not just happening where we're getting wrinkles in our forehead and wrinkles in our neck and that kind of stuff. This stuff is happening in your spine as well. And so your discs are rotting out. Ever have that where you reach behind the back seat and you're like, I don't know what I did. I just reached behind and I threw my shoulder up. Anybody ever have that happen, right? That's because all that inflammation that we're creating from eating all the bad carbohydrates is creating inflammation in there and decreasing the elasticity of our skin and our joints, our muscles, our tendons, and we're setting ourselves up for injuries, right? Same thing's happening in the knees, right? It's not that, you know, it's very popular right now, the knee replacements and the hip replacements, right? Isn't that very popular right now? I mean, when I was young, nobody had a hip replacement and nobody had a knee replacement. And now it's becoming very rampant. And one of the things that was not very popular when I was a kid was all the junk that's out there, right? All the fast food restaurants. I mean, we actually had a garden in our backyard. We don't do that as much anymore. And so it's because of the way that the way we're trained and how we're eating. And what we're doing is we're actually destroying our body and we're destroying our joints. So what we want is less carbohydrates, but a lot more vegetables, okay? Are you guys with me? I get a lot of confusion on the carbohydrate thing. Is everybody good with me on that? Okay, I want to make sure. So then we require less insulin. If I have less carbohydrates and I have less insulin, which is also known as the what hormone? Can you see how I'm getting smaller already? Just, right? Isn't that awesome? Okay, more and more sensitivity, less sugar in the system. What that will do is it'll reboot your hormones, you'll have less fat, and it'll reduce your symptoms. What I see a lot of times is that if you are diabetic or you kind of, you check your sugar, what you'll notice when you start doing the advanced plan is you'll notice that you'll require less insulin. So you you have to watch it. Immediately, your body, if you follow the advanced plan for 1 to 2 weeks, you'll probably be, a little bit queasy feeling because you're so used to the sugar, right? So you're going through withdrawals, like Dr. David said. He's smacking his arms like cocaine, right? Your body is craving that sugar. And so you're having a battle with your body and wanting that sugar. When you get that out of your life and you require less, you're going to have a little bit of crankiness, probably. Some of you might have a headache, right? If you've ever stopped Coke and you drank Coke, did you guys feel great? No. So same thing happens with that. But one of the things you want to watch is you want to watch your insulin, okay? Watch your levels. You'll notice that your body requires less and less, which means you're getting leaner just by working through that, okay? Now, number 2 is oil change. You want to make sure that your fats are good and make sure that what you do with the fats and how you cook them, the temperatures that you cook them, are actually the right temperature. You can take an olive oil and you can kill it by raising the temperature too high. The beauty of this book is it actually has all the good oils in it and it actually has the temperatures in which you can cook them in, okay? So make sure you refer to this when you're looking at. The one that you can not worry about is coconut oil because you can crank it and heat it up and it's okay. But olive oil, you really rather put that on salads and things. It doesn't really like to be heated at high temperatures, okay? What's wrong with most people's current fats I found when I started doing metabolics testing, how many of you were tested, did metabolics testing? I found that when I started doing the metabolics testing, which we actually have that here today, that it was amazing to see how some people who ate really good, they still had a whole lot of inflammation because they still had a whole lot of omega-6s in there, way too many omega-6s, and that way too many omega-6s was still creating the inflammation, which was really destroying the joints and keeping the weight on, okay, and keeping us from overcoming the diseases that we're trying to overcome. So that's really one of the biggest things that I noticed with that. And when I did the metabolics testing, I could actually see how many people were at risk of heart attack. Like right away on your metabolics testing, I can see there's really nowhere to hide. I can see what you've been eating. But the good news is that we can immediately change that by giving you redirection on the things that you need, because we know what your blood and urine look like. So I can give you an exact recommendation for what foods you need to be eating. So that may be one of your action steps. You know, this weekend on your top 10 is, I don't really know if what I'm eating is good. I think it's good, but how is it working for my body? That's what metabolics will tell you. It'll tell you is how it's working for your body. Healthy cells in the cell membrane. Now, one of the things that's really important to know is that your cell membranes, every single cell in your body, is made up of fat, right? And how many of you have seen the McDonald's display in our office? Have you seen the McDonald's display? Okay. So the McDonald's display we put up in 2007, and actually the McDonald's burger and the French fries look exactly the same way it did when we bought it in 2007. Now, it kind of makes us laugh a little bit, right? The interesting thing is the receipt that we stapled to the bag to prove the day that we purchased it is actually decomposed. But the burger and the fries is not, right? So if you think about it, your cell membrane, if every single cell in your body, in every organ, has a cell membrane and it's all made up of fat, if I make up the cell membrane, which let's just imagine the cell membrane goes around like this, and I load my cell membrane up with French fries and burgers and sodas and, right? And I do that on a regular basis. If the job of the cell membrane is to allow nutrients to get into the cell and allow toxins to escape from the cell, if the job of the cell membrane is for that to happen, but I've clogged up my cell, then am I going to be able to get nutrients in? Am I going to be able to lose weight? If I have a disease I'm trying to overcome, am I going to be able to overcome it? So what we're saying is the cell membrane and the nutrients that we put into the cell membrane is critical. It's life and death, right? And I'm not just saying, once in a while, vacation meal. I'm talking about just a regular habit of making sure that you're really intentional about having healthy cell membranes. Is everybody with me on that? That's really, really important. Okay, so the third principle in the metabolics process that we just talked about is eye protein. One of the other big things that I notice from people is someone will say, I've been doing the advanced plan, but I'm not losing weight, right? And I'll say, well, how much protein are you eating? And so what I'm finding a lot of times is that people are actually making too large of dosages of protein. And because when you eat too large of dosage of protein, it actually turns to sugar. So you can tell yourself, well, I'm not eating the candy bars anymore, right? And maybe I'm not eating the bread anymore. But what I'm doing is I'm eating such a large portion of protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that my body can't even break it down. So what it's doing is it's turned to sugar. Now that's actually doing the exact same thing that a candy bar is doing. You guys with me? So what you want to look at is you want to look at making sure that your portion sizes are 25 to 30 grams per meal, and you're waiting about 2 to 3 hours in between to metabolize. That's one of the biggest things that I notice from people following the advanced plan is they eat too much protein and then they don't eat enough vegetables, okay? Or they say, I don't like vegetables. And I say, tough, eat them anyway. I can say that because I'm a mom, right? Okay. Another really good thing to have and understand is the difference between the core numbers and the advanced numbers, okay? The core numbers, as far as percentage is concerned, if you know you're going to be that person to follow the advanced plan, these are your core numbers, okay? Give yourself a percentage of what your food looks like with these core numbers. And the advanced numbers, if you're staying between 8 and 10% for carbs, and protein is 15 to 25, and your fat, yes, you're fat, 65 to 77%. Because remember what I said, the cell membrane is made up of mostly, and my brain is made up of mostly. It is. So we want to make sure we're consuming good fats and doing it in this ratio. Now the cool thing is that's exactly what we did for the new Reboot bar, is the percentage looks just like that. So you're going to become a fat burner in the process of this new plan and burn fat in your sleep. You're going to reset your hormones, and you're going to now become a fat burner forevermore and stop, the yo-yo thing, going back and forth. Does that sound cool? Does that sound exciting? Now I'm going to bring out another little sample of something you guys can actually try. It's called chia seed pudding. Now, who has not had chia seed pudding? Yay, raise your hands up high. Everyone's going to get some. Okay, now remember, we're looking back at these percentages, right? And so we're trying to train you guys to become fat burners. And by doing that, I want you to try some things that taste nice so you don't feel like, oh, this is going to suck. It's going to be terrible. She's not going to let me eat anything but a carrot or a vegetable, right? No, I'm trying to show you can have desserts. You can have these wonderful bars, and you can actually become a fat burner and lose weight. Okay, now I'm going to bring Dr. David up right now, but before he starts, I want you to get your chia seed pudding and tell me how much you like it. And I want you to take out your little sheet and keep it handy. So far, the first thing that I have on my max mind as far as priorities are concerned is prioritize your action steps. That's my first. So when you finish writing everything down, I would take your list and put it on your refrigerator. Tack it up on your refrigerator. Don't tack it. Put a magnet. Put it up on your refrigerator, and before you hang it up there, prioritize, because you're going to have some things on here that have a time consequence, have a financial consequence. You kind of have to prioritize and figure out what to do. If you make a list and you're not sure what the priority should be, come and see me. I can help you with that. Okay? The other thing I have on here is pick something from the 30-day plan fast. One of the things that I highly recommend to families is to make sure you do that family meeting. How many of you have started doing a family meeting since I talked to you about it several times? I got one. Come on, guys. One. Start doing a family meeting. I don't care if it's just two of you in the house. Do a little family meeting and look at the calendar. Divvy up the responsibilities. Talk about what you need from each other. That's when you celebrate the wins for the week. And you celebrate the things that you also want to work on, right? All right, tell me how good the pudding is. Okay, good. All right, guys, we'll let him get started.
Beautiful.
You're surprised? Yay!
So a lot of people go, it's kind of like tapioca, like a chocolate tapioca. You like that? So that has no sugar in it. It is full of good fats. And the crazy part is doing snacks like that, or even just, that could actually be part of a meal replacement. It literally is going to help you detox because it's going to replace those bad fats in your cell membrane with good fats. Make sense? And just so you know, chia seed is on the top 10 superfoods of the world. Just so you know. So actually, the bar has chia seeds in it too, because I'm kind of a chia seed freak right now. I put it in anything I put it in just about anything right now because it's so good for you. So we're going to move on to an essential now that is obviously close to my heart. It's the essential number 2. It's the nerve supply. But after break, we're going to get into all the things that you've been wanting to know. So what do I need to get rid of? Like we talked about BPA and receipts, and then the cleaning products and all the rest. And all the vendors will give you some great good stuff at the break too. But before we go to break, I really want to hit this hard because the overwhelming part is the toxicity component. That's the overwhelming part. But the great part, the part that's just full of power, is the stuff that's already inside of you. Who knows that there's never been an emergency meeting of the Holy Trinity? Like God didn't look at Jesus and go, man, we didn't even think about BPA in the seats, right? You know, oh man, oxybenzone and sunscreen. Ah, man, holy crap. No, your body is fearfully and wonderfully made to overcome all kind of toxins all the time. It's the only problem with getting it is just we're so inundated with it, your body just can't handle all of it all the time. Some of you guys are looking at going, oh man, I got a problem right there. In fact, some of you guys next week are going to go have a symptom and you go, which one it is? Which one is it? The point is, I just want you to see that it's connected. Does that make sense? It's just very connected. Your spine is very simple. It should have 3 consecutive curves. You should have a curve in the neck, curve in the low back, or here, and a curve in the mid back here. 3 consecutive curves. Now, that's not a chiropractic philosophy thing. That is 12 different Nobel Prizes. Sherrington, Myron Beale, Core. Everywhere you look, these guys are not chiropractors, but they won a Nobel Prize for finding if you have a spine that shifts and changes, you are in trouble. In fact, they're actually not just in trouble, but people that actually have shifts like scoliosis, you die 15 years sooner than somebody that didn't have that. And again, but that's why every single one of us, unless you're over the age of like 80 or something, if you had to bend over in front of the school nurse and they were looking for what? Scoliosis. Exactly. By law, every child has to get checked. Why? Because we know now that you die sooner because organs fail. Make sense? So, what should it look like? This is a neck, so there's the back of the jaw, there's the back of the head right here. You should have a curve in your neck. Everybody go like this. Like this. This is so important, you know. So take your other hand and just feel the palm of your hand. Some of you guys are patient, so I'm doing. Now, get rid of the curve and now feel what happens to your skin. Tightens up. You feel that? Good. Irvin Kaur did that in front of 300 neurosurgeons and they gave him a Nobel Prize. So I try to repeat that as much as I possibly can for everybody on the web. But what happens is what he found was when your spinal cord goes from relaxed to like this and it loses the curve, your spine actually lengthens, which takes your spinal cord and does what? Stretches it. Does it make sense? Do you think that would decrease your overall proper function? Now, what does that have to do with the detox? Because if you're not detoxing right, some of you guys will look to everything under the sun, from acupuncture to detox systems of all kinds. You'll do colon blows and you'll do all these other things. You'll do all this stuff, right? But you don't have a nerve supply to begin with. And so it's a waste of money. Now listen, we sell so much great stuff at these makeovers, but let me just be very transparent. I don't want you to buy anything over there to help you detox if you have never had this checked and you don't even know, because you may be wasting money. So don't give me money if you haven't checked this, because if you may be wasting your money. Does it make sense? It's just a waste. I don't want to waste anybody's time or money. But this is what happens. So when you lose the curve, you literally lose your advantage over gravity. So your spine can't resist gravity. So when you have more and more pressure on different joints, what do those joints do? They break down. So this becomes this becomes this, and this becomes this. About 10 years, 10 years, 10 years. Do you see that? And everybody looks at this and goes, wow, man, it's terrible. The problem with this, most people blame this on what? Old age. It's not old age. It's actually, if you had a perfect curve in your neck and there was an even amount of pressure on all the bones of your spine, guess how long your spine lasts? Yeah, longer than you. They'll find it in your coffin 500 years from now, and it'll still be there. The Lord cares. But there's the warning sign. So let me do this. Let me see. I want to see someone out of you. Come here, Elaine. Come here. Yes, come here. Listen, there's only 500,000 people watching on the internet. So come here. All right. So now I want you to face away. So if you look now, I'm going to make her a patient that comes in with let's say she's got kidney or colon issues. Okay, right? So we're going to help her with her kidney or colon issues. Now, are there kidney cleanses that we can do? Are there? Yeah. Again, raise your hand if you know somebody, you or somebody you know has had kidney stones. Right? You or somebody, raise your hand. There you go. Good. A lot of people. So there's things you can do to actually cleanse the kidneys, filter those things out, and get rid of kidney stones so you don't have to worry about them. Colon. Let's go to colon. If you have diarrhea a lot or constipation, whatever, it's not too long. You go to somebody that's allopathic. They're going to diagnose you with an IBS or an irritable bowel or something. Yes? Right? Everybody here probably knows somebody who's been diagnosed with an irritable or Crohn's or something like that. You with me? But now watch this. Let's make her the patient again. She comes to see us. And her spine is shifted just slightly, so we're going to do that. You see that? Okay, so she just moved slightly. I know, I saw it. Good. We hadn't even trained her. But now, if this is not straight, or watch this, let's go from the side. So go, turn towards me. And let's say that she loses the curve, so she's got a really flat back. Okay? I'm glad I picked you. Come around this way. I may pay for this later, though, for example. But watch this. So whatever that is, let's say I put a little bit of pressure on the nerves in her low back. Okay, you with me? Now, not enough. Her back doesn't hurt, right? So, and I love that. I'm glad she doesn't hurt. But if I cut the nerve going to, let's say, the kidney on this side, what happens to the kidney right now? It dies. Same thing with the colon? Yeah. But if I put a little bit of pressure going to the nerve onto the kidney, now how's the kidney function? Just not enough to cause any pain, just a little bit of pressure. Now how's the kidney function? Just a little bit what? Less. Just a little bit less. Now, okay. Now she's not filtering just right. And because she's not filtering just right, she'll have some metabolic backwash, if you will, and it'll develop some crystals. You guys with me? And do that over weeks, do that over months, and all of a sudden it tries to make its way out, and guess what she feels? Kidney stone, right? Anybody else? Right? It's like birthing a baby if you haven't had one, from what I understand. Now, also what she might have some swelling, right, in her feet or ankles. And she'll go to the doctor, and the doctor will go, well, listen, you're not 20 anymore, right? Are you with me? Right? And then, guess how the doctor will take care of it? He'll give her a what pill? Yeah, it's a direct, but what do they call it? A water pill. Isn't that interesting? They call it a water pill. A water pill. But everybody's treating the symptom when the whole time this pressure is right there. Do you guys see that? Right? Now, here's the crazy part. Every single person in here knows somebody dealing with that, or a colon issue, right? The problem with it is everybody's focusing on the kidney, or back to the kidney again. Talk to the people that have kidney stones. It's always in the same kidney, right? Why is it in the same kidney? Because one kidney is not as healthy as the other kidney, and the unhealthy kidney is the one that keeps having issues, and nobody's working on getting this kidney healthier, right? It's like madness. It's insanity. Same thing with the colon. Everybody starts trying to address their diet, and they're maybe like try to do gluten-free, and I agree with doing some of those things. The problem with it is if you never address the colon health as a foundation, right? She'll do gluten-free, and then it doesn't do as good. She won't feel as good as she used to. Anybody know anybody like that? Or their kid didn't do as good as they used to. Problem with this is if this is always there and it's never taken care of, I could slather on some chemicals or hormones. I could do acupuncture. I could do detox. I could do all these things. I could do physical therapy. I could do medications. If I never take care of this, is her body ever going to detox properly? Does that make sense to everybody? Is that clear? Good. Give Elaine a big hand. Okay, I'll do. Good. Watch that. Good. Awesome. Yeah, famous. All right, but there's the warning sign. So how do you know this is going on? Anytime I speak, oftentimes I get in front of, I'm blessed sometimes to get this message out because I'm so passionate about it. God saved me with this. But I get in front of people, and oftentimes I speak hopefully sometime soon. We talked to this lady who's head of the Dallas Orthopedic Nurses Association. I don't know if you've ever spoken in front of 200 orthopedic nurses. I'm not sure it's the most chiropractic-friendly group, but I can tell you they're super ladies. And listen, if they're not, it's only because they don't understand, right? Who here thinks, at one point in time, who here has heard anything negative about chiropractic? This, but be transparent, right? Yeah, everybody has. The reason for that is because chiropractic, which was all about what we just did with her, removing interference so the body can function right, and it all became not about finding the cause, but treating the symptoms. So everybody thinks chiropractic is for what? Back pain, leg pain, or headaches, or an auto accident or something, right? And so, but it was never for that. It was for health. It was for optimal function. The whole thing started with some guy got adjusted, and he was deaf, and his hearing came back, right? Is that crazy? And so that's what it's for. So warning signs. The reason it's important to me, and this was 10 years of work to get warning signs like this together. And you think I just put words on a page. But this is the most common symptoms that you can have that show an underlying cause through the nerve supply, which means if there are things like this, you need to pay attention. Nobody here would get in your car, have a blinking dash light going on like this, and go, grab a hammer and go whack and break the. I fixed it. Good. Good. Actually, some of you guys aren't laughing as much as you should. I'm watching for those. But you wouldn't do that. That's silly because eventually what's your car going to do? It's going to break down. And listen, Everybody knows somebody who metaphorically their car broke down or their health broke down, right? And it's the people that are on the prayer requests at church. It's the people that you're praying for right now. It's the people that are around you. They're in the hospital. You may be going to see them within the week. And nobody wants to be that person. But it's almost like we distance ourselves, and because we feel good, we think, well, it's never going to be who? It's never going to be me. But what if I could show you way before, and I am right now, if there's a symptom right here, guess what? You need to pay attention, and you need to get what checked? The nerve supply through the spine, exactly. Now, the other thing, too, is what makes us different than the regular chiropractic places that you've heard of? And the answer to that is this. It is advanced corrective work. Now, the other thing, too, is we do 5 essentials and not just one. But right here, this is what's different. And I'm going to use Donna. You don't have to come up. But Donna came into the office and seen several chiropractors, lots of chiropractors, right? 5 different chiropractors. She doesn't mind me using her story. She didn't know I was going to do that today. So there you go. Thank you. But I just saw her, so I just thought about it. But she came in, and she was having a hard time doing a lot of things. I mean, even vacuuming of the house and stuff like this. Wasn't able to work out. Wasn't able to do a lot of things. When she came in, we checked her spinal cord nerve system, and she had crushing pressure on the nerve supply at the top of her neck. And it was so intricate, actually, for the first 2 weeks, we were still trying to struggle and figure out how to take more of that pressure off until we actually got another exam to show that she had rotation of the very first bone in her neck rotated like this that nobody ever found, ever. Chiropractors, medical doctors, all the rest. She's having migraine headaches, 3 times a week, whatever it is, So, but as soon as we found the cause and removed it, she started to come back to life again. Her husband's sitting right next to her. Came back to life again? Yeah, so she started. Actually, what's funny now is it's been so long since she got it. She was off of all of her meds, which she's been on for forever, the steroids and all the rest. But then she came in the other day. She goes, I'm loving working out. I'm having a hard time not working out twice a day. And so it's just the difference is the level of specificity and what we're treating. We're not treating the symptom. We're fixing the what? The cause. So we want every single person, if there's any cause keeping you from being 100% of what you should be, we want to fix it. We want to find it and be done with it and get on to the rest of the victory in your life. Does it make sense? Truly 100% in line with all cancer patients that we see is they don't sweat. So you want to sweat. It's a good thing. I remember she came back from the gym one time. We were talking about high intensity work, and she came back from the gym and she goes, all of a sudden I stink. Like it's like a pungent stinkiness on me right now. And it just turned on all of a sudden. I had a patient just last week who said the same thing. He goes, I need some help. Like I'm burning through my deodorant. It's terrible, but he hasn't sweat. He's been so sick with a blood disorder that he's not done very well. So sweat is where you want to get it. The only proven way to get most of the toxins out. It's the cheapest way. It's the most effective way, but you have to do it. The problem with it is everybody lives in air conditioning. You're going to get in your car in air conditioning, and you're going to take 22 seconds to get from your car into the house where there's air conditioning. Heaven forbid your air conditioning goes out on either one of those because we start to throw a fit. But you have to sweat. I'll never forget being on a bus in the Bahamas, and there was no air conditioning on the bus, and the tourists were melting like popsicles. And they were all complaining, and the guy with dreadlocks driving the bus was like, hey, man, it's free detox, man. And he was absolutely right, 100% right. But you have to do it by increasing your body temperature. Have to do it by increasing your body temperature. How do you get your body temperature up? Who here, just by what we've done already, has got their temperature up? You felt it? Yeah? So you're like, yeah. That's exactly what you have to do. So you have to get your temperature up. The other thing, too, is you have to get your oxygen usage up, which means you could go for a walk for an hour. There's nothing wrong with that. Go for a walk. I think it's good for you. However, you would also want to include somewhere in there a high intensity, short duration, so that your oxygen demand goes what? Way up, and your temperature goes what? Way up, so you're literally just dropping sweat bombs wherever you stand, right? This is what we want. That's also why a lot of cancer protocols include infrared saunas, because it's not just that it's hot, it's that infrared, it starts to move fat, basically. It actually superheats the fat, gets your body temperature up from inside out to a healthy way in those wavelengths. Make sense? Right? But you want to do it using oxygen as well. So it's not hard. You just got to do it. This is the way we do it in the office. If you're a guest, we do Max T3. Max T3 is high intensity, short duration exercise, reboots your hormones, get things going. But it's 12 minutes. The one thing I love about this program is you throw that DVD in the DVD player. Guess how long it's going to be every time you hit play? How long? How about 12 and a half? Is it 12 and a half? How about 11 and a half? 16? No. 12 minutes every time. What's the number one reason people don't exercise? Time. What's the other reason? I'm too, you said lazy. Come on. You are the, man, so hard on yourself. Let's go back to Max Mind. No, it's just lazy. It's not lazy. But it's actually too tired, right? Well, listen, if you're tired, it's the one reason you need to do it, okay? So I can help you through that. But this is a good program to do it in. But we're going to actually do it. And actually, we go to Texas Family Fitness. We go to CrossFit Capel Central, where Todd is our coach there. We like people to coach us sometimes, so we like both. But I want you to actually do it. I don't want to just talk about it. So we're going to do one round. It's not going to be 12 minutes. So you got to do like, 12 minutes. I didn't bring the extra. Listen, you don't have to be in exercise clothes. If you're in heels, I don't want you to mess something up. But I want everybody to put your stuff down. I want you to stand up. And our ambassador of energy, Shan, can I get a hand for him? What we're going to do is we're going to run through, and I'm going to be I'm a participant. So I'm going to get out of the way. All right, you good? Okay, so I'm going to get it. You just have to turn my mic off so you can't hear me breathing hard.
Okay, we're going to start out, and it's going to be high intensity, 45 seconds, okay? We're going to do 3 rounds. We're going to start off with some punches, squats, and then upward punches. I'll explain. First one we're going to do, we're going to go as fast as we can, punching straight out like this, but we're going to do it super fast. Please don't punch the person in the back of the head, in the back row. They won't like you. You'll cause concussions. We're not going to get adjusted right. Everything will be great. Okay, second one, what you're going to do is you're going to do squats, and you're going to lean with your buttocks. Keep your back straight. You're going to touch your butt to the chair and come back up. Okay, and that's 45 seconds that with a small break in between. Last one, we're going to punch up, like the old Michael Jackson, Thriller. All right, yeah, so we're going to do that as well, and that'll be hard, but I want it high intensity, as fast as you can. Don't injure yourself. Let's keep the heart rate up. Rock and roll.
Here we go.
Let's roll.
45 seconds.
We're working it. Look at this man right here. Let's do it. That's what I'm talking about right there. Keep it rolling. I want to see you sweat. Everybody over here sweat. Let's do the sweat. Let's get these toxins out. Keep it going. That's right. We got 10 seconds. Keep it pushing. Come on. Time. Now we're going to take a 10-second break. About this squat.
Here we go.
All right, give yourself enough space. Butt to the chair, lean with your butt, keep your back straight, and go. Let's go. There we go. Just like that. Up and down like pistons. Come on, keep it moving. Burn it. You want to feel it right here in the back of your leg. Exactly like this guy right here. Look at him move, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Come on. We got 30 seconds. Keep pushing. All the way down. You cheating. All the way down. Smile. Yeah. There we go. Keep it rolling. 5, 4, keep pushing. 3, 2, 1. Stop. All right, we're going to take another 10-second break. How you guys feeling? You ready to burn a little bit more? Woo. Thriller time. And go! Rock it just like that. That's right there. There we go. That's my man right there. Keep it pushing, guys. Let's go. All right, burning the sweat. Who's not sweating here? You're not working hard enough. Let's go. Let's get this energy up. Keep pushing. You got 10 seconds. Oh, you can do it harder than that. I know you can.
I really can.
Keep it pushing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job, everybody. Give yourself a round of applause.
So we're going to expose the toxic top 6 right now. And on the list, it looks like this. In order, number 1, the toxic top 6 would be medications. So some of you maybe taking a medication because you've been trained to take it, like you watch the television and all the commercials in between all your favorite shows are showing, you know, a picture of somebody who's sad, right? And you're watching the picture and they pop a pill and all of a sudden they're happy, right? Right? Are you guys with me? So we're kind of trained, right? In America, we're trained to take prescription medications because we see these commercials constantly all day long, and it tells us if we take a pill, we're happy. We're also trained to not listen to the quiet voice in all these commercials that say, what do they say? Right? And it's a really quiet voice, right? Every time. It's like monotone, and it says, if you take this drug, you might kill yourself and your neighbors. But we don't hear it, do we? We don't hear it, do we? It's pretty crazy how we don't hear it. So I've trained my kids that every time they see those commercials, they don't see anything, but they hear the voice. But it took time. Like, it takes time. And so one of the things as far as medications is it becomes the toxic top 6 because we're constantly running, and every time we have a sniffle, we're training ourselves to going and getting a medication for that. So we want to make sure we're being very careful that we're not doing that. Number 2, household products are on the toxic top 6. So you can kind of see the Windex right here, the household products. I'm going to get into a little bit more. Toxic cookware, right? Tap water, heavy metals, mold, and biotoxins. And does anybody know what that means? What 6 is? What's number 6? Genetically modified. I have a smart group here. I love that. Genetically modified, right? So, ooh, that's kind of a weird slide. Oh, well, we'll move past it. It's okay. Medications. This gives you a little bit more about the medications, how every drug actually shuts down every drug shuts down pathways. And every drug has to be detoxed out of the body, and it uses up your natural antioxidants. So you may be taking antioxidants and you're doing it for like anti-aging and, you know, to be healthy, but your body, if you're taking a medication, actually has to deal with the medication by using up your own antioxidants to deal with it. Does that make sense? So then it's not available for you when you need it, right? Because you're dealing with the side effects from the medications. Number 2, household cleaning products. Now, a lot of you come up and you ask me, like, what are the ingredients? Like, what should I be looking at when I shop? Like, what are the ingredients to look for? This is one you should write down, DEA. So when you shop for personal care products and things like that, shampoo, conditioners, lotions, whatever the things you're using, deodorant, look for DEA. And what you'll see is the table in the back, Healthy Home. Where's our ladies over at Healthy Home, the table in the back. There's a product booth back there. You want to look at the products back there, and you'll notice that all those things on their table are actually healthy. So we'd like to give you guys a resource for that. But DEA is one of those things that's found in over 600 home and personal care products. This one is propylene glycol. Let me see my slide. My slide looks better than yours. So it's propylene glycol. That's another one. Do you guys know what that looks like? What that is right there? Who? Right. Did you know that the e-cigarette actually is just full of propylene glycol? Did you know that? So what you thought you were doing was actually, you know, healthier, right, than the alternative. You're actually sucking in propylene glycol every time you inhale, right? And so when you suck in that propylene glycol, what you're doing is you're destroying your receptors. For men, you're actually creating more estrogen. So what does that make you? More feminine, right? Not cool at all. So we really want to look at how we think about why we're doing the e-cigarettes and really altogether realize that this propylene glycol is destroying our hormones and destroying us. Another thing you want to look for is SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. Sodium lauryl sulfate is a residue found in heart, liver, lungs, and brain. It's also a xenoestrogen. When it says xenoestrogen, this is kind of the stuff that makes shampoos foamy, you know, things that are foamy, like your detergents that you use for washing clothes and things like that. Sodium lauryl sulfate is one of those damaging things, and it actually acts like estrogen. It mimics estrogen receptors. So that's why so many of us are screwed up in our hormones, because we're taking in so many personal care products that are actually mimicking estrogen. Does that make sense? It's throwing things off. Okay, the other thing right now that's very common is looking at sunscreen products. They actually have a sunscreen product back there on Healthy Home tabletop. So be looking for that so that you make sure it doesn't have the oxybenzones in it. A lot of the things that we're buying at the store are toxic. This is a big one. We all have used this, yes? When I started researching this and looking at this, one spray of actually off-gases chemicals that can cause cancer and destroy your hormones just with one spray. In fact, when I test people for metabolics, there are specific biomarkers that we can measure to see that you've been exposed to pesticide sprays. And sometimes it's just the simple use of this every day. Now you say, what do I do, right? The table back there has some natural bug sprays. So you're not getting bit and you're also not making yourself sick, okay? So this is really huge when you're trying to prevent cancer and fight off different kinds of diseases and you're asking yourself, like, why am I sick? Sometimes it's just the household things we use every day that we don't realize. Does that make sense, guys? So that's the company. That's what it looks like. It's in the back. Probably most of you have seen it already, but you can see the bug spray. It's DEET-free. The DEET is the actual thing that's super toxic that's causing cancer. And when you look it up, it's crazy. This is banned in countries all over the world, but America, we just kind of embrace everything that's banned everywhere else. I don't know why. That's another story, isn't it? Okay, toxic cookware. There are tons of different kinds of cookware, right? I have the table set up over here for just different kinds of toxins. I also have one of the pans here on this side, right-hand side, also back there at our Salad Master booth. They have the different kinds of pans that you can kind of see what they're made of and things. But Teflon, we know, is actually causing a lot of childhood developmental problems. There is actually a lawsuit going on. It's supposed to be banned by 2020. But I don't know why it wasn't banned sooner. We're cooking, we're heating all of our food up right, and we're just putting all the toxins in our food. So it's making a lot of us sick because of that. Water is another huge thing. So water, the drugs that are found in the water. So every time we take drugs, right, it goes through the water system. And so 250 million pounds of active drugs are flushed into the water system, eventually ending back at your house in your tap water. Just think about that's right. Isn't that disgusting? Is everybody else as grossed out as, right? So tap water. So that's why we have Holden water filtration here, because they can show you alternatives of getting this stuff out of your water so that it may be coming to your house, but you can actually clean the toxins out of your water and do reverse osmosis units on your sink at home. I actually have a whole house unit. You can have them on your shower as well. And did you know that when you take a shower, the hot water, right, it dilates the vessels in your brain, right here in the top of your head. So it dilates, it makes everything hot. So it dilates all the vessels. If I dilate all the vessels and the water that goes in is full of chlorine, what did I just do to my brain? We don't think about that, do we? It's amazing how we just don't think. I dilated all the vessels and I just poured all those chemicals right into my brain, into my nervous system, right? So a 15-minute shower is equivalent to drinking 8 glasses of that sludge water we just showed you a picture of a second ago, right? So this is going to be one of those things, you take out your little action steps, right, and you write them down. This is something on your list, right, to do, okay? This is what the unit can look like under your sink, and there's the name Holden Water Filtration, and they've got some cards and stuff over there at the booth. Mold and biotoxins is another way that a lot of people are getting sick. Some of you have had leakage from air conditioning, right? Or leaky pipes, water's leaked into your home, bathrooms leaking, things like that. And then this is actually a patient. This is all black mold back into the drywall there. And what's interesting is if you don't clean it up immediately, the black mold actually likes drywall. It's like food to black mold. Well, how many of you know that we don't want to feed black mold and make it happy, right? We want to starve it. We don't want it, right? So if you've ever had any issues where you've had water leakage, air conditioning, plumbing, different things like that, you got to take care of it right away You got to address it and realize that there's a major consequence on the system. The warning signs are persistent cough, chronic respiratory infections, chronic fatigue, muscle and joint sensitivity to light chemicals, skin sensitivities. Loss of memory and brain fog is huge, huge. If you've ever been to a hotel and you kind of walk in and you get that smell, the musty kind of like, this place smells musty, right? And you stay there for half the day and pretty soon you can't think straight by the end of the day and the next day. Anybody ever have that experience? Where you just kind of, we travel a lot. So every time we go somewhere, we can just smell the chemicals. We can just smell the moldy, musty kind of feeling. And sometimes you really can like feel like you can't think straight. If you've ever had that experience, it's pretty crazy. So this is one of the toxins on the list. Now, also on number 5 is going to be heavy metals. This is going to be the one that pretty much all of us has been exposed to, right? So you're going to get mercury, heavy metal exposure. Mercury is one of the most devastating, okay? It is number 2 on planet Earth as far as chemical, dangerous toxicity, okay? We're getting it from number 1, silver fillings in our mouth, right? And number 2, from vaccines, right? Now, when we were younger, we got vaccines and we only got a few, right? Now what they're doing is they're loading a ton all at one time on kids. There's so much accumulation of the mercury in the vaccine every 2, 3, 4 months when they go in, that the brain and the nervous system, it actually crosses the blood-brain barrier, and our nervous systems can't keep up with it, so it can't dump it off. It can't dump it off. So that's the reason why also you're seeing a lot of the older population being told they had to get the flu shot, right? And so we're seeing a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia because that accumulation of mercury, it hangs out in the brain and it crosses over and it doesn't come back out. The body can only handle so much. And so what you're seeing is we've got clinics popping up everywhere for autism, right? We've got, assisted living clinics popping up everywhere. And that's really a primary source of that is going to be because of the toxicity that people have been exposed to. They just can't dump it off. So you can see it in the vaccines here. What's in the vaccine, this little handout is really powerful. I have it on the table over there if you want to go and look at it later. But the bottom of the sheet, so it shows all the ingredients. The ammonia, the monosodium glutamate, aluminum, formaldehyde, which is what we use to embalm bodies, right? The organisms, the gelatin, the mercury here, the phenol, human and animal cells are involved in these vaccinations. And the bottom of the sheet says, this is really powerful. It says, a major cause of the Roman Empire's decline after 6 centuries of world domination was its replacement of stone aqueducts by lead pipes for the transport and the supply of what? Drinking water. Roman engineers, the best in the world, turned their fellow citizens into neurological cripples. Today, our own best and brightest with the best of intentions achieve the same, and through childhood vaccine programs yielding the modern scourges of hyperactivity, learning disability, autism, appetite disorders, and impulsive violence. That's what this PhD said regarding this whole process. So a lot of people are not just getting it you're getting from your drinking water, right? You're getting mercury and lead and things like that from your drinking water. But just think about the program. If you have more questions, we can talk afterwards. But this is something you really want to think twice about making this decision and just make sure you understand it. Now, I have a video here that I want to play for you guys.
So all mercury silver fillings leak substantial amounts of mercury constantly. The amount increases with any kind of stimulation, and as a result, mercury from fillings produces the majority of human exposure to mercury. The International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology is extremely concerned about the anecdotal claims of safety by manufacturers and dental trade associations. They're at variance with the published peer-reviewed scientific evidence to the contrary. The precautionary principle requires action once the possibility of harm exists. It does not require proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that in the case of heavy metal and xenobiotic exposure is both nearly impossible and unnecessary, in our opinion. What you're seeing is mercury vapor coming off a 25-year-old silver amalgam filling in an extracted tooth. The background is a phosphorescent screen. The mercury vapor absorbs the fluorescent light, and you can see it as a shadow on the screen. This is mercury coming off a filling that was dipped in water that's the same temperature as the human body. This is a filling that was rubbed with a pencil eraser for just a few seconds. Like going to the hygienist and having her clean your teeth. These are not small amounts of mercury. If you can see it, it's more than 1,000 times higher than the Environmental Protection Agency will allow for the air that we breathe. What about the last time you went to the dentist and they drilled on your tooth? Here is the mercury vapor every time you raise the temperature to 110 degrees with hot coffee or warm water, or even chewed on it. Mercury comes off fillings every time you stimulate them, and that stimulation causes the mercury to continue to leak out of the fillings for an hour and a half at a minimum. Some people grind their teeth. Some people chew gum. The dentist might send an old gold crown to the dental lab to be welded. How about the dental personnel? They're not being given informed consent. Back in 1985, the International Academy of Oral Medicine Toxicology set out to determine the amount of mercury that was coming off fillings. And here's the graph, showing substantial quantities of mercury were measured coming off fillings. And then we estimated the total dose. And then we began animal experiments and put radioactive fillings in sheep. Mercury accumulated in the jaw, stomach, liver, and kidney of the sheep in just 30 days. Substantial quantities of mercury spread from the fillings to every organ in that sheep's body. This should be of concern for everyone. Then we measured that the sheep's kidneys dropped in their ability by 60% to clear inulin, an indication of kidney malfunction. Whole body imaging of monkeys found exactly the same thing. Proponents of amalgam fillings claim that sheep chew too much. Well, what's the problem with monkeys? They had mercury in their jaw, kidneys, liver, intestine, and heart. And further research found dystrophic bacteria that were antibiotic resistant cropped up in the intestines within 2 weeks of receiving these mercury-leaking fillings. Further studies have found damage to the ADP ribosylation of brain neuron proteins. In response to the controversy, and at the request of the Federation of Experimental Scientists and Biologists, Drs. Fritzloh Scheider and Murray Vimy wrote an editorial, the first ever in FASEB, that point by point refuted the claims of the amalgam proponents.
That's enough, huh? Right? So you can see how we're getting a lot of it just from, right, our teeth. Now, one of the things a lot of us are going to want to do is just run out and go, right, have this all sorted out. I have handouts on the table over here that gives you instructions. You want to do it, make sure you handle your amalgam safely. But what you really want to know is also, how do I get this out of my brain, right? Now, here are some of the mercury poisoning symptoms that is really huge as far as like the depression, the forgetfulness. That's another huge thing. Irritability, unexplained anger. These are all kind of different things. Like the sensitivity to sound is another really huge thing. Like all of a sudden, noises and things can kind of set you off. That was one of the sounds for me, or one of the things for me that I knew when I found out that I had heavy metal toxicity. I had 8 fillings in my mouth. I went through the process of getting them fixed and doing things all naturally, but that was a huge form for me. Now, I was actually pregnant. I wasn't pregnant yet, but I had Zachary, Zoe, and Zanae. So, by the time I got to Zanae, I wasn't as toxic, but Zach and Zoe, sorry, Zach. I mean, he had the most, but so Zachary's had to go through a process of getting this stuff out of the system, and so is Zoe. And so this is something you want to keep in mind as well. Don't rush out blindly. Like I said, there is a protocol to do this safely. This is what the test looks like, and I think we have some. Do we have any tests left over there? We have tests over on the table. I only brought a few, but if you want to get this tested to see if you have these metals in your system, You can see here lead and mercury right there, and you can see it on the graph right here. The thing about something like lead and mercury is it actually works synergistically. It means it amplifies the response. 1 and 1 does not make 2. 1 and 1, like mercury combined with lead, is like 1,000 times more dangerous. So if you have, mercury and lead toxicity, we've got to go through a process to get this stuff out of the system. And it's very possible to get out of the system. I've done it. My kids have done it, and I haven't had a lot of patients do it. But this is how you test for it. Now, like I said, I do have the test kits over there. Today, we actually have a bundle test kit. So what you can do is you can actually buy the test kit, and as soon as you finish the test, you can start the chelation process, which is you saw the monkey and the sheep, where the liver and the kidney and the bowels, those were the things where the mercury actually hung out and were the highest. This process, actually, you can go through the protocol with these 3 products and actually start taking the stress off of those particular organs in your body immediately. So you'll do the test first. You can start the protocol after. Sit down with me. It takes about 10 days for the test results to come back. And then what we'll do is I'll let you know how long it's going to take for you to work on getting this stuff out of the system, and we'll retest you in about 6 months. That's how the protocol works. Okay? And it's okay to do your dental work in between then. That's okay. So I'll kind of walk you through that protocol. And again, I have some handouts over on the table, and we have a few test kits on the sheet. You can pull out your order form. I think a couple of you are looking on your order form. Let me see what it says on the order form. I think it's called the BioRay and Heavy Metal Test. That's what it says on the order form on the bottom there. Okay. So what some of these things you want to keep in mind is these guys are xenoestrogens. When we talked about xenoestrogens, that's what the word looks like right there. And what that is they're chemicals that actually disrupt the communication between our bodies. So normal estrogen would look like this. Xenoestrogen acts like it, and it sends off signals that weren't intended. Does that make sense? So as we got this overaccumulation of xenoestrogens, your body thinks that it still needs to deal with estrogen when it really doesn't. Some of the other things that cause toxicity or are also xenoestrogens are phthalates, and that's the stuff that comes from plastics. So if you buy plastics and you put it in the microwave and you heat your food, you're actually leaching the phthalates into your food and you're eating it. So you also, when you actually are done cooking and you want to put your leftovers away, you don't want to put hot leftovers in plastic, right? Because that's leaching the phthalates into your food. So you want to make sure that it's better if you can get some glass containers and put them in there. But either way, just wait until your food cools off before you put that stuff away. Any home product that contains parabens, the SLS, and the propylene glycol, remember those are the 3 words I want you to write down and remember when you go shopping, so that you look at this for your lotions, your deodorants, your shampoos and stuff. Look for those. You want to look for the labels right there. The foods that also have xenoestrogens are coffee, canola, any commercially raised meat, pesticides, and herbicides. And then again, what are those called again? What's the cigarette thing? What's it called? E-cigarettes. Okay. All right, here's the GMO exposure one. Okay. This one grosses me out the most, actually. So genetically modified foods are actually restricted all over the world. You can kind of see the map there where we've restricted them. 50 countries have banned them, and we've got U.S. and Canada is just real happy about, having them, and they don't care about labeling them. And so it's up to us to actually complain about that, talk to your representatives and make sure that they know that we want our food to be labeled so we know we make a choice whether it's a genetically modified food or not. What they're doing is I'll go back here, they're actually, for genetically modified, what they're doing is they're splicing genes. They're taking like the genes from I'm going to go to the picture here, I'll show you. So they're taking the genes from a flounder, right? And they're putting it in the tomato, and they're doing it in a lab, right? This stuff is being made in the lab. It's not like a tomato being grown naturally the way we would have common sense grow vegetables, right? This stuff is the DNA, the gene mutation, and then what they're doing is you're basically every time you eat, you're eating some other DNA that shouldn't be in there. And so what I'm finding when I test people with the metabolics testing is I'm actually seeing, because there's a whole panel on there that'll test your bacteria that's in your gut. A lot of people have digestive problems because they've actually been eating genetically modified food, and there's so much DNA and bacteria in their gut, and they don't really know why. It's because they're genetically modified. But I can find it on the metabolics test, and I can actually give you specific action steps to be able to take care of that. And then, of course, we got to start asking. One of the things that we do, and that's disgusting. Isn't that gross? Right? If you notice when you buy like tomatoes, and you look in this section when you go grocery shopping, and every single tomato looks exactly the same dent. They all have the same dent. It's the same exact shape, right? In nature, that tomatoes grow all different sizes, and they have weird little shapes, right? That's what naturally they should look like. That's genetically modified. So we want to be eating things that are actually not genetically modified. But when you go to the store and you start shopping and you go grocery shopping and you're in the vegetable and fruit section, ask the guys and girls who unload the food and put it on the shelves, which vegetables and fruits in here are genetically modified and which are not. I've done that before. I don't like the response, but I would do that. That's why I'm kind of encouraging all of us to try to figure out how to, in our little small spaces, grow little gardens if we can. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm working on it. I don't really like the whole fish banana thing. Like, that's just kind of disgusting. This is the thing that grosses me out the most. I'll just tell you. So because we're eating genetically modifieds, what they did here is very interesting. They did a study in order to get genetically modified foods to slip it through nice and sneaky. They did a study, and it was a 150-day study. And the people who did the study knew that little bit past 150 days, that's when these mutations started showing up and cancer started popping out, right? So if I keep the study at 150, then no mutations show up, then I can say it's safe and effective. And I don't have to label, right? So I'm going to tell you that when Dr. David and I were preparing for this, he and I both wanted to cry and throw up because some of the other mutations that we see in humans and babies and infants and things like that are super disturbing. So I'm just going to say it's really important to make sure, you reach out, you start looking at your food a little differently than you did before, and, make sure you ask what is and what is not genetically modified. There's 7 dangers that have been discovered by consuming GMO. Food allergies are one, right? That's pretty rampant, right? A lot of people are having food allergy issues. Bodily toxicity, negative reproductive. This is huge. A lot of reproductive problems are showing up because of genetically modified. Negative effects to the digestive system, which I said I've been testing, and I'm seeing a lot of that with the metabolics testing. Unknown genetic effects on humans. The death of insects and some of the animal, like the caterpillars, and then also lots of mutation is showing up. Halloween candy that contains GMOs. I thought this was interesting. Did you know that 10 GMO ingredients in Halloween candy? You got the sugar, which is GMO, sugar beets. The high fructose corn syrup, which is GMO corn. The cornstarch, which is GMO corn. The soy lecithin, which is GMO soy. The soybean oil is GMO soy. Modified food starch, GMO corn. Fructose, dextrose glucose, GMO corn. You guys getting it? Like, that's so disturbing. Makes you think twice about giving candy out, right, for Halloween? These companies oppose GMO labeling. So all your big name companies out there, they do not want the GMO to be labeling. Why would they not want the labeling? It affects their profits. Affects their profits. That's what he said. You're exactly right. It's all about money answers all things. Okay. So big picture now, I've given you like 6 things, right? 6 toxic things, right? So if we go through the 6 toxic things, number 1 was medications, right? Number 2 is what? Household cleaning products. Good, you guys are paying attention. 3 is toxic cookware, right? 4, water. 5, good, neurotoxins. You can kind of use that as a big label. And 6 is genetically modified, right? So what happens is if you've been exposed to these things and your cells are kind of like a bucket, When the bucket gets too full, down here we don't have symptoms, like we're not expressing symptoms, right? Because everything is still contained in the bucket. Well, imagine every cell in your body is like a bucket. If every cell in your body, all the toxins are contained inside the bucket, then you're really not going to be expressing any symptoms. But imagine when your bucket overflows, that's typically when we have symptoms. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have devastating effects, right? But look at that, sneezing, wheezing, itching, all kinds of disorders and things like that. That's the person that says, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden one day, I got allergies. I never had allergies before. It's not because Texas did it to you. It's because the accumulation in your bucket. You guys see that? The bucket. I just gave you 6 reasons why your bucket gets full, right? So what we want to know is we want to make sure that, like Dr. David was showing the misalignment of the spine, right? If you have subluxation or your organs are being damaged because the nerves from your spine are actually not giving all the healing power, you got to address that, right? You also want to make sure that your organs that detoxify or dump toxins are working properly. The proper function of the liver, toxins come in through the top left right there, and it has 2 steps that it has to go through before it's eliminated through your bowel and bladder, okay? Now, that's the normal function. If in step 1 there's required nutrients, and step 2 there are required nutrients. If I don't have all the required nutrients in step 1, am I going to get to step 2? Okay. If I don't get to step 2, is it going to come out of my body? Then what happens? You store it. You get sick, right? That's why we end up with tumors and things like that, right? The body will try to wall things off in the form of masses and tumors to protect you, right? And so it's because we don't have the specific nutrients sometimes in our proper detox organs to be able to dump things off properly. Does that make sense? So your detoxification organs, it's critical that they're all working the way that they should. Your colon is another detox organ, right? So the normal function is the small intestine, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, is actually where all the absorption of food is complete. That's where it's finished. But when we go around and we take antibiotics and over-the-counter drugs and things, we wipe out all the good bacteria. You guys have heard of probiotics, right? We wipe out all of our good bacteria, and we get things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. When we get the overgrowth in the system, then the normal function, when we normally would be digesting here, if I'm digesting normally here, but I wiped all that good bacteria out, now I've got to back up the system with all this bad bacteria, right? Then every time I go to eat food, am I digesting my food? No, I've wiped everything out. I've got this bacterial overgrowth in there, so you got the IBS, you got a lot of digestive problems. That kind of stuff shows up, so you got to make sure your digestive system. That's why we have a lot of cleanses and things like that on the list. That's also why we do the Maximized Metabolics testing. Now, who's tested in here? Do you mind if I share a little bit of your story? I'm a T9C. Okay. So we had tested, I don't know when we tested, but it's been about probably 5 or 6 months ago that we tested. And one of the major problems that she was having was she was having problems with, she was on steroids for quite a long time, maybe 5 years, something like 4 years, taking steroid medication for sinus issues. It was just this chronic thing. And really, every time we turn around, she was upping the dose or adding another steroid or whatever. It was just this yo-yo, right? When we finally added the metabolics testing, and she actually found the nutrient deficiencies, and we got things balanced as far as the nutrient deficiencies, that's when she was able to get off successfully all of her steroids. All of them. Now, that's freedom. Is that freedom? I mean, amen. I'm so proud of you. Good job. That's a really big deal when you're getting tested and you don't know. I mean, 5 years of taking something, you think you're stuck, right? She's not just stuck. She's playing volleyball now. She's a mother. She's got 2 girls that are going to try and pass her up in athletics, and she's kicking their tail. Yeah? Volleyball, working out. She's a hottie. I'm so happy for her, right? That's what we should be like. We should be reaching our peak potential, our maximum potential. And that's what this testing can do for you. Now, there's a little test that you can do to find out if you're in crisis or maybe pre-crisis. And you can actually now do them on the iPad now. So you can come into the office and get the iPad. If you want that done, there's a little sign-up sheet over here. Rebecca can send you a link and you can kind of see if you're in that crisis mode. That'll give you an indication of whether you want to put it higher on your list or not. But this is a really awesome test. It's called a lifestyle risk assessment, okay? Now, when I test you, we're going to test like 54 different biomarkers. So I can tell if people are actually at risk of a heart attack. I can tell what your hormones look like. I can see what's going on if you have leaky gut syndrome, if you have blood sugar imbalance. Some people are in denial about the blood sugar imbalance in my office. They come in and I'm like, you have a blood sugar imbalance. You're eating too much sugar. No. Yes. So we can also see in inflammation, anything that shows up on the inflammation, I can see if you have an autoimmune disease that you're developing. Like this test is super sensitive, and beautiful thing about it is it actually tests things before the disease will show up. So we can see and prevent things from happening, okay? So a couple of the action steps I have on the list now. So I'm going to add to your list now, okay? And then Dr. David's going to finish us up here. So I put on there no genetically modifieds. That's another action step, okay? So that might mean that you need to be difficult when you go shopping and ask the questions. The guys and girls that are stocking the shelves, they normally don't know better, and you might have to be the person to tell them, right? So be checking those things out, no genetically modified. Minimizing your toxins through personal care products. So maybe the laundry ball, right? The healthy home. They have a product over there that would be used instead of bleach. So bleach is super toxic. So they have a product over there that would be used instead of bleach. Phenomenal. Takes stains out of your clothing. Oil. I think that was the thing that Dorota noticed. She had oil in one of her shirts she thought she'd have to throw away. Bug spray they have. Sunblock. You might have to go get if you don't have a water filter, right? Put that on your list, right? And then maybe heavy metal testing is something that you need to put on your list, right? If you know you have silver fillings, don't rush and get them taken out. Make sure you talk to me first. I've had too many patients go and rush and do it, and they actually have they work with a dentist that doesn't know what they're doing. So I want to make sure you get with a dentist that knows what they're doing, right, and does it safely. And so you get it tested, and you can actually immediately start pulling the stuff out of the system safely, literally right away. The test and the detox is automatically all put together in there. And anything else that I missed on the minimizing toxins? Okay, was that good for you guys? Don't burn your house down. Was that good, though? Good steps for you? Okay, good.
Beautiful. Did she do a good job?
That's fine.
Now, there's two things I want you to get before you go. Everybody doing okay? You guys doing all right? So there's two things I want you to get before you go. And those are belief and involvement with others. If you don't get this, it's very hard to be successful. Very hard. I think it's so powerful to be around each other, because when you're around each other, people who've done it, all of a sudden it feels like I can what? I can do this. And so I'm going to help you with that here before we leave. Does that make sense? I'm going to really help you with this. And it's going to help you be with involvement with the others. The thing about health in general, and toxicity is the same thing. It's just part of it. Most of us, you wouldn't cross the street to save your own life. But if you saw a baby or a child that was hurting or suffering, you would crawl through broken glass. You would cut appendages off to go make sure a child didn't fall off a cliff. I mean, literally, you would do that. But it's so often we won't do those things for our own selves. And so I want to talk about belief and I want to talk about involvement. I'm going to do that literally in the course of one story. Getting involved in the lives of others. I'm going to tell you one little story on it, and I'm going to be as fast as I can. It's a story of a little barista, okay? So you'll never forget this story. And I'm going to tell the story with three individuals. It's three women. The first one is the barista. She comes in. It's a 23-year-old girl. Comes in the office. She has migraines so bad that they think she has a brain tumor, but she keeps getting the MRIs and CTs, and they can't find the brain tumor. She's 23 years old. She's got a newborn baby, and she can't hardly work. Her mom, who's a patient, understands, brings her in. We find the cause of it, and it's right there. And as soon as we open up the nerve supply, praise God, her headaches are gone. I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. but she's painfully introverted. And if you know that something will save someone's life, I expect you to tell every person you know. But she's so painfully introverted, she doesn't talk to anybody. Even while she's a barista at Starbucks, she's just going and going and going. But this is a barista, and she's from Starbucks. But she's at Starbucks. Her life has changed. She doesn't talk to anybody. But there's occasionally some people that come in that are just effervescently spectacular in their positivity and all the rest. And a mom and a 14-year-old son come in regularly. And one day they come in, and she's not with it, but the 14-year-old is, and they have to drive in. So she's like, well, where's your mom at? I know you didn't drive. Where's your mom? He said, I just came in to get her latte. She's in the car. She can't walk. Her back pain is so bad with leg pain, she can't walk. And for an instant, she thinks, what? I should what? I should tell her. I should tell her about chiropractic, and then if you've ever heard anything about chiropractic, and what's the next thing? I don't know if I want to get involved. What is she going to say? She might say no. I might be embarrassed. This whole painful thing. But she reaches past that. She leaves the coffee bar. She walks outside. She gives a card. She gives her card to her office. And she says, listen, I'm uncomfortable to even talk about this with you, but this guy saved my life. Literally, I thought I was dying. I couldn't work here anymore. And the only reason that I've been serving you for all these weeks is because he saved my life. Go see him. Well, she's actually in her late 50s. She's about to be medically discharged from Parkland Hospital, where she's been working for 18 years. She's going to be medically retired, I should say. So she has her back's against the wall. She comes in. We find the problem, like we're looking for the cause. We're not there just to crack a spine or something. We find the cause of her problem, begin removing interference so her body can heal again, and guess what happens? It heals. She canceled the surgery she had planned for her back 3 weeks later. She began to lose weight, apply these 5 essentials just like you learned today. She lost a lot of weight. She now is living these essentials. Her life is great again. She didn't have to retire. She loves her job. And she happens to work in the basement of Parkland Hospital in the Patient Discharge Planning Center. So if you've ever been at Parkland and you get discharged, you've got to go to the discharge planner where it says, so what she would do is she'd sit down with you. She'd have a clipboard, say, this is what the doctor says, these are your medications, this is how you take them and when, and this is when they want to see you again, or this doctor, or this is your recommendation. But after her experience where this saved her life, she would do the very same thing, and then she would take the clipboard, and she'd set it right here. And need of them, she'd say, but now let me tell you what you really need to do. Whether it was right, whether it was wrong, whether it was legal, or whether it was not. She would say, listen, I've got a guy that I know will change your life and save your life. So this is the second lady. The third lady is a lady who lived in South America. She's a younger mom. She's got 2 kids, 2-year-old and 4-year-old. Her husband's a prominent medical doctor in their community. She becomes sick, and she begins to get sicker and sicker, and he can't figure out what's wrong with her. And they do all the tests, and they can't find out. She starts to get so sick that she's going down so fast, within 2-3 weeks, she will not be alive anymore. That's how fast things are getting bad. In fact, in a couple of days, she probably won't be able to walk. And so they literally emergency evacuate her country and flee to the United States to get to somebody that might be able to help her before she passes away. But as she's leaving, how do you say goodbye to your 2-year-old and your 4-year-old when chances are you're probably not going to see him again? If you got kids, I want you to imagine this. You kneel down to your little 2-year-old and your 4-year-old, and you're at your front door, you're going to get in the car, and you grab their little faces, and you kiss on them, and you just put your forehead on their forehead. They're not emotionally mature enough to understand the situation. So she cannot tell them goodbye forever. All she can do is try and hold it together to say, I love you, Mommy loves you, I love you, I love you. Gets to the car, and all she sees is that at the front door, her little kid sitting with her mom going, bye, Mommy, bye, Mommy, bye, Mommy. And she's sitting there, and she's sobbing, trying to keep a smile on her face as she waves goodbye, to try and keep them from being scared. She makes it to Dallas. She gets in. Thank God she made it, right? It's almost like we got here. But she goes through all the battery of tests and everything they can do, and guess what they find? Nothing different than her husband found. So in tears, almost like this is it, they end up in the discharge center in the basement of Parkland Hospital, and guess who's discharging her? Jeanette Antonez, who takes a look at her paperwork in such a bleak view with almost nothing written because there's nothing they can do. And she takes a look at it. Before she says anything, she puts it down, and she puts her arm around her. She goes, let me tell you what you need to do now. And she said, and listen, with a belief more than most of the chiropractors that do this, because she had her own personal experience, looks at her and she says, now you're going to go see a doctor that I know can help. And she calls me. And you know, if adjusting, I don't come off the shift.
But when Jeanette Antoinette calls, you answer. And she says, I've got a lady that needs to come see you today. And it was a Friday morning early. And so I said, bring her in. We'll make it happen. So we come in. We immediately get her in. We immediately check her out. She's not good at all. We found strangulated, choking pressure on her nerve supply and doesn't have any back pain, no neck pain, no headaches. But she's dying. And we see it clear as a bell. And I know why. I just looked at her. I said, listen, if I can remove the interference, God can do the healing. But I'm going to need to see you as much as possible and as long as possible. And so she came and I adjusted her all that morning. I said, you're going to come see me this afternoon too. And when she came in the front door crying. And being an internal optimist, I knew she was not doing very well. But it was because she was actually doing great. She was crying and she said, I'm so much better just in the hour since I saw you. I said, praise God. We'll get on the table. If I can remove the interference, your body can do the healing. And so we did that. And that was on a Friday. The next day was Saturday. We had a new patient orientation where they came in to look at x-rays. And the husband was there, the medical doctor. He said, I've never heard this before. It doesn't make sense to me. But from what I've already seen, you tell me to do it. We'll make sure that we do it. So we did it. We did it for 4 or 5 more days. And she's coming around. She's coming around to find the husband's like, I have to be honest. I didn't know how long she'd be here. My 2 children are at home. I have to get home to the kids. I said, listen, you're a patient. You're part of the family. I said, we'll take care of her here. So he flew home. Now it's her. She's coming in. We did this for 3.5 more weeks. And in 3.5 more weeks, she completely reversed every sign of disease in her whole body. She's back to better than she was before she ever even had any of the symptoms. And she's got a flight home. And I walk in the room. You guys know how I adjust. I'm back and forth in the rooms. And I walk in the room. And she's sobbing. Tears just streaming down her face. Not 1 or 2. Wet. Her face is all wet. And she's got a smile on her face when she looks up. She's not laying down for adjustment. So I walk in the room, and I'm kind of stalled for a second. And she goes, I just got off the phone with my kids. I'm about to see my kids again. She goes, I'm getting on a flight here in a couple hours. I'm going to see my kids. And I give her a big hug. I said, it's so great to meet you. I'm so glad you got the results. And I'm about to leave the room to go get another person adjusted. And she grabs me with a force right on the bones of my wrist. And she keeps me from leaving the room. And she kept a hold of that. She looked me right in the eye. She goes, I don't think you heard me. She goes, I'm going to see my babies again. I get to see my kids again. And let me tell you something. That happened not because we found the one thing that everybody missed. It didn't happen because those essentials are true, although they are. It didn't even happen because of the spectacular, passion that a lady had in the discharge center at Parkland Hospital. It happened from one little barista who only told one person. And she told somebody because it was back pain. And how in the world could she have thought that would have saved a mom where she could see her kids again? So let me tell you something. It takes 2 things to make this thing happen. Number 1, it takes belief. And I hope you got that because you saw people that got results. And if you're sitting here, you've been to very minimum, you're one of those too. Deepen it. Keep on going. Okay. The second thing is it takes involvement. And I know this. Every single person here, if you thought that you could save a mom from something like that, every person here, you would get involved. Would you not? Yeah?
So it wouldn't be complete unless we prayed it up. So if you would just bow your heads. So Father, we just give you praise today and thank you for what you've done here. I just thank you for this team that's worked so hard. I ask God that the work of our hands and so of the seeds that we've sown, Father, come to a fruition of just not just health for everybody in this room, but for every single person related to every single person in this room, from friends and family, the church and office. That literally because we were all here today, that the world has changed and become a better place as we serve you by serving you, Father, and glorifying you through the bodies that we built for us. So God, I just ask a blessing as we take small steps towards you, that you take great God-sized steps towards us, that we don't just get information here, but revelation, we take action on it. Father, we love you. We praise you. Ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.